Did you know rent in the Phoenix metro area just surpassed an average of $1,900 per month? And in certain cities like Scottsdale, Phoenix, Gilbert, that can even be higher. So that begs the question, is now a good time to buy a house here in Arizona, or should you be renting in 2025? Let's break down the comparison and see which one is right for you. Hey, I'm Josh, and I help home buyers and investors utilize smart financial tools in order to buy real estate. If you live in Phoenix Metro, Tucson, or anywhere in Arizona and wondering if you should be renting versus buying, this video is for you. I've had a lot of conversations around this specific topic recently, and it really begs the question of, is now the right time to buy? Or should you rent? I've actually had a lot of these conversations recently, whether or not it makes more sense to buy here in Arizona or rent. Here's what a lot of Arizona buyers are struggling with right now. Home prices have not dropped as much as people have expected them to this year. Interest rates are still higher than people are wanting them to be. And number three, rent continues to climb in addition to home prices climbing, especially in high growth areas like Queen Creek, Scottsdale, Phoenix. It's difficult as a renter to continue to see these costs increase while they're sitting in a rental paying somebody else's mortgage. They're stuck on the fence on whether or not they should continue renting because it's a little bit cheaper than what they believe they would pay in a mortgage, or start paying a mortgage and building equity in something they actually own. Again, this begs the question of what is better here in 2025 and moving forward. First, jumping into the buying a house scenario here in Arizona. Some of the pros to buying a house right now is Arizona actually has a very steady and stable market for home prices. We've seen a little bit of drops in certain areas, but a lot of other areas are continuing to grow. This means stable equity year over year as you pay down your mortgage and your equity goes up. Fixed rate mortgages offer a lot more stability in your actual monthly payment versus rents, where you can expect them to go up a couple $100s per year depending on your actual property management company. Now, there's a caveat with that. Obviously, if your property taxes increase or your homeowner's insurance policy increases, then your mortgage policy increases. But we can get into that in another video. If you have questions, obviously schedule some time with me using the link down below. Another pro is you benefit from the appreciation gains just being in certain areas like Phoenix or Scottsdale. These areas are continuing to boom and bringing in more and more jobs and more tech growth and growth altogether, which is going to offer a lot of appreciation year over year. Here in Arizona, we actually have access to a lot of different mortgage programs that offer down payment assistance or assistance paying your down payment and closing costs. This makes it a lot easier for a first-time home buyer that may not have a full down payment saved to get into their first house. Now, a few of the cons to purchasing a house here in 2025 in Arizona. The average home price here in Arizona is $425,000. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't find homes below it, but based on the median average of homes sold above $425,000 and below, the average is going to be right at that $425,000, which if you buy a house in that $400,000 range, your payment isn't exactly cheap. The next con, and I mentioned this a little bit already, but property taxes are continuing to increase in Arizona because a lot of people are buying in the area and a lot of people are moving into the area. So property taxes are continuing to increase, which means that your mortgage payment will be a little bit higher than what you're thinking. Now let's get into the pros and cons of renting here in Arizona. One of the biggest benefits to renting is that you actually don't have to worry about the maintenance on the property. That is actually a con when it comes to purchasing a house, that you are now fully responsible for the maintenance or anything that goes wrong with the property that you own. When you're renting, you just call your property manager or your landlord and you say, hey, my furnace is broke or my AC is broke, and they're going to come and fix that. Whereas if you're purchasing, that's your responsibility. Number two, it's actually often cheaper to rent here in Arizona than it is to purchase. Now, there's a huge caveat around this because it depends on where you're purchasing and where you're renting. If you're looking at renting a house in Scottsdale, but open to buying a house out in Santan Valley or Queen Creek, then it's going to be very comparable rent versus buy. But if you're looking at buying or renting in that same city of Scottsdale or certain great areas of Phoenix, then you're going to have very comparable rents versus your mortgage payment, or a lot cheaper rents versus your mortgage payment, depending on the property that you're actually looking at. The next pro, renting actually offers a lot more flexibility in life changes. Let's say you get a job in a different state. A lot of the times you're able to get out of your rental and actually move without having to worry about selling a property. If you own a property, you're gonna have to worry about selling it, making sure you have enough equity, and going through that entire process. What are some of the cons though? Rents in Phoenix and Tucson metro areas are continuing to increase. Year over year, we're seeing increases anywhere from $100 per month all the way up to I've seen $500, depending on the area and what's being brought into that specific geographic area. So if there's one consistent about renting here in Arizona, you can bet that your rent will continue to increase year over year. Another con, you don't build equity in something that you own. You're paying the mortgage for somebody else. So that monthly payment, let's say you're paying $2,000 per month, that's $24,000 a year that you're paying into somebody else's pocket. Whereas if you bought a house, you would be able to be putting that back into your pocket to tap back into later down the road. This also means that you miss out on appreciation gains. You don't get to see your house appreciate year over year if you're renting. If you're renting a property, that's not yours. You're going to see your house, if you own, appreciate year over year over year. And then if you sell or take equity out, you're going to be able to benefit from those tax-free gains year over year. So honestly, should you rent in 2025 or should you buy? Ultimately, it depends on your current situation. Now, I have these conversations almost daily at this point, and I ask everybody, what does your life look like 5 years down the road? Do you plan on staying in the state? Are you working a long-term job opportunity? What does your life look like? If they're looking at staying within state for 3 to 5 or longer or forever, it makes sense to get ready to purchase. Find a house that you can build appreciation and equity into for your family and for your future. Now, if you are still on the fence of staying in the area, or if you don't know if you're going to stay in the area, or if you just aren't comfortable with the maintenance on a property, it absolutely makes sense to continue renting. And I always will recommend that to my clients when I'm having those conversations. If you want to have a conversation around whether it's better for your situation to rent or buy, schedule with me using the link down below. If you have opinions on whether or not renting is a good idea or buying is a good idea, comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. If this video was helpful, please like and subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one.